Okay. Wanted to make this video to talk about yet again the audio equipment I use. When I listen to the DT990s, again the pads are completely worn in. These things sound transparent from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. All the bass information is there. All the treble information is there. All the mid information is there. And it's extremely clean and transparent. Like, everything is there. There's no funky discoloration anywhere. Again, when you first get them, there's like a 6K peak and like 2 shrill high treble air spikes. But that goes away completely. And again, you may have to get used to the wide soundstage, you know, that 3K scoop, and you may be turning up the volume a little bit on your headphones, trying to hear those high mids, you know, because things sound a little bit wide. After using these for 2 years, when I put these things on, I am continually impressed and shocked at how good these are. I remember using a lot of different headphones where I had to mentally compensate for all the tonality coloration problems, and a lot of headphones you put them on and things are just not right. You know, there's a bunch of high mid shout, treble, you know, is all fucked up and scooped out and veiled, and you know, there's all these problems, and not enough bass energy. And when I put these on, just like everything is there. These sound just as good as when I first fell in love with them. They are flawless. I do not think about buying headphones ever. In fact, I'm right now about to buy a second pair of these. You know, and I wanted to talk about the Samsung Galaxy Buds Pros. These, you can tell that the treble is slightly like deteriorated. Like, you know, there's probably like a 1 or 2 peaks and cuts. But the thing is, you know, I've bought the Sennheiser IEMs. I bought the Apple IEMs. You know, a lot of the mainstream wireless IEMs, and measurement-wise and actually owning them, the Buds Pros are the best. So you're still a part of the winners club. And, you know, everything is where it should be. The treble is where it should be. The mids are where they should be. The bass is where they should be. So these are kind of like little DT990s. You know, very clear. They got deep bass. The mids are pretty good. Everything's pretty good. You know, maybe the treble sounds a little bit more deteriorated. Especially when you use the dynamic EQ. You know, they're almost identical to DT990s. Besides the treble quality being a little bit more inferior. Now, technically, these measure better in the sub bass. You know, they have more sub bass, but honestly, you know, when you're listening to these, they sound like they have. A lot of times, I think the DT990s actually have more bass. I mean, again, unless you have like a perfect seal with these earbuds, you know, you lose a lot of bass. So, I mean, on the rare occasion, I hear some deep sub bass, but it's really very comparable to the DT990s in the bass. So, you know, you're really kind of nitpicking these subtle things that in the real world applications, they're not really that noticeable or a big deal. Both of these have extremely audible, deep bass, you know, and they get the job done. Okay. So again, these are like little DT990s, maybe a little bit crappier sound quality, but everything is where it should be. Okay. And that's the reason why I kept them. I've seen some people recommending the Samsung Galaxy Buds Plus. Again, I bought those. I bought the Buds Plus because this is another thing I wanted to talk about again. I don't like IEM measurements by these people, like Critical and some of these other people who are doing IEM measurements. I don't know. From my experience buying, you know, a couple of different IEMs, Arting's measurements sound like how I heard them. So, you know, I looked at Critical's Samsung Galaxy Buds Plus, and I bought them based on Critical's measurements. The high mids were very shouty. The treble was deteriorated and pulled down. So things weren't where they were supposed to be. The treble and the mids were not where they were supposed to be. The mids on the Bud Plus were way up here. The treble was down here. and I recommended you use the treble boost to try to get the treble up, to try to switch that around. And I tried to cope with them, and I only lasted a few days because, you know, when I put the Buds Plus on, it's just not right. I can't listen to music and enjoy it because I'm constantly like the treble's pulled down and there's too much shout. Again, you can go around and look at normal people reviewing these earbuds, and most of them, if not all of them, will say the Buds Pros have higher quality, better treble, they sound better than the Buds Plus. So the handful of people who are just looking at Crinical's crappy measurement of the Buds Plus, you know, now again, if you look at the Artings measurements show you what I'm talking about. On Artings, the Buds Plus have all the shouty high mids around 3 to 5K. It's way up here. And the treble is deteriorated and pulled down here. Okay. That's how they sound to me. That's the reason why I use Artings measurements. Now, I wish they were using diffuse field target. They're using kind of like a bastardized half diffuse field, half Harman target. So, you know, it's kind of hard for me to make videos on those and put it on my frequency response guide because I have to do some compensation for it all. But I'm just saying that's the reason why I use Artings measurements. Because Crinical's measurements and a few of these different other IEMs, I don't know. In the treble, they're not very accurate. Or they're not showing you things that you need to see to make good purchasing decisions. So when I see a bunch of dumbasses constantly bringing up the Buds Plus, I mean, I would probably still be doing that if I didn't buy them and realize they're actually not that good. You guys who keep bringing up the Buds Plus, why don't you do yourself a favor and actually buy them? Okay, I used to talk about the Sennheiser HD600s for like a year until I actually bought them, and I realized they have shouty high mids and veiled treble, and they're fucking terrible. So, you know, put your money where your mouth is and fucking buy them and stop bringing them up. Because I think you will agree the Buds Plus do not sound as good as the Buds Pros, okay? So, again, stop using Crinical measurements, go to Artings. Artings, plain as day, Buds Pros definitely have clearer, better shaped treble. You know, the flatter, more transparent high mids. And then you look at the Buds Plus on Artings, and it's all deteriorated in the high mids, and the treble's way down here. Okay? So shut the fuck up. You know, so, I just, you know, again, that's the reason why I don't like reviewing IEMs, because I don't have, like, pinpoint precise measurements for them that I can 100% agree with. But Artings is, in my opinion, I have a hunch about this, a subconscious knowledge that Artings just has a better measuring rig that can really pull the information with their measurements accurately. But it does look a little bit different than what I'm even used to. But when I look at the Artings measurements based on the IEMs I've owned, they're extremely, extremely accurate. When I look at Crinicals and Banbo and all these different other IEM measurement people, I'm just like, what? I don't trust the treble measurements. Like, once it's like, I don't know. So that's all I wanted to say. The main thing is, again, the DT990s do not distort in the bass unless you turn them up extremely high in volume and listen to low-end rumble. But for everyday use at normal listening levels, I never hear the bass breaking up and crackling or anything like that, distorting. I don't hear it. Now, sometimes on the very rare occasion, one of your drivers may be loose and it'll kind of rattle. And, what typically fixes it is you can smack it on the back of the ear cup, and that will kind of like fix the driver from rattling and being loose. If that doesn't work, you can open it up, pull out the driver, reposition it, put it back in. That should fix it. A lot of people online have this rumor that it's a hair in the driver. Probably not. It's probably them taking it apart, maybe finding a hair, pulling it out, but since they took it apart and put it back together, that's what really fixed it, in my opinion. I don't know, I just don't believe it's hair. I think it's a loose driver. Because when you take the driver out, when you're changing the pads and everything, you know, it's just, you can, anyway, it's a very easy fix. I've seen people even return them and try to get another pair because one of the drivers rattles. A lot of times, like, you just smack it and that'll fix it, you know. That will dislodge it from being rattly. Or you just open it up, pull the driver out, put it back in, you know, reseat it. And so anyway, again, I'm making this video because I'm dead serious about this. You know, I'm not trolling, I'm not glamorizing or over embellishing these. These have immaculate, clear, sparkly treble, you know, extremely good bass, nice wide soundstage, they're even very comfortable. You know, they're everything you could possibly want. The pads are replaceable. God, you know, the other day I was thinking about, you know, theoretically, if I bought like a lot of these different headphones, like, what do I do when the pads wear out? Like, do they even have like replaceable pads? You know, stuff like that. So, I mean, these things are serious business, and these are and I'm dead serious about this. These are the most transparent headphones in the world. These are the best headphones in the world. I'm not trolling. It's not just my opinion. These are objectively, scientifically the best. You know, these are amazing. Okay. And, you know, I don't know how many times I have to express this. That, you know, if you actually know what you're doing, you know how to tune audio equipment, you know what matters, these are it. These are the best tuned, best voiced, best performing headphones on the market. And if you first get them and you know, you hear the shrill, harsh treble and you return them after a few days for whatever reason, I'm just telling you, give them a few weeks or a month or two. And if you still don't like them, there's something wrong with you. Because, again, I do think that there are tone-deaf people out there who will, for whatever reason, look over just how clean and transparent these are. And, I mean, again, I mean, it's when I put these on and I'm doing critical listening, I never have to say, oh, you know, I have to mentally compensate for, like, some bad tonality on these headphones. Like, you know, when I used a lot of different headphones, I was like, I have to mentally compensate. Okay, it's got that funkiness. That's not like whatever I'm listening to. That's the headphone. Okay, I got to mentally compensate for that to do critical listening. Not on these. Not on these. Zero. I have to put zero effort into trying to hear through the bad coloration or tonality. These are completely transparent all the way through. And everything is loud and clear and audible and positioned the way that it should be. And I can't express that enough. Okay. And I have exceptionally high standards. You know, it's not funny. It's not a joke. Oh, you know, your hobby is stupid. You buy these, you're done. Okay, you want to fuck around and buy tube amps and boutique headphones or try a bunch of different shit, you're an idiot. Straight up idiot. Like, it's simple. Like, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying that that's what these are. Now, I can turn this into like some funny shit, but I'm being serious here. Okay? No B-roll footage here. This is it. Okay? It is what it is. It's very basic stuff. These are the best voice, best tune, most transparent, clear, nice sounding headphones on the market. And the measurements back it up. Have you seen the measurements? I mean, when I was looking at some of the other measurements for the other headphones, I'm like, people aren't going to believe that these measurements are real. I mean, they're so bad. They're just wild and all over the place. They're gonna think I was putting all these different headphone measurements on my frequency response guide so you can see what it looks like, and I'm like, people are gonna think I did this wrong, because there's no way the headphone really measures like that. Like, it's off the charts bad, like literally off the charts bad. They're gonna think like I magnified it and rotated it, and just, I obviously translated it wrong when I was putting it on my guide. No, it really is that bad. Like, it's off the charts bad. Okay. So anyway, I mean, again, I've seen so many people, all of his gadgets, he sits around, oh, these are the legendary Sennheiser HD600s, and we're going to compare them to the legendary AKG 702s or whatever, versus the legendary DT880s. Those are all shit. Those are all shit. DT80s have a huge 6K peak, no treble extension, weak bass. Sennheiser HD600 shouty high mids, weak bass, treble veil. AKG K702 have that 2K peak and treble screwed up, and kind of lean bass. They're kind of they're lean. They're not. So I mean, these are what you should be using, dumbass. Okay, I mean, it's fun to have all these headphones displayed and shit, but I mean they don't. Time to grow up. Time to grow up. Quit digging around. Serious up. Get the headphones. Move on with your life.